and allowing us to fulfill the big Christie's mission in promoting Arab art internationally. So رح اتحول لاحكي للغه العربيه. اهلا وسهلا فيكم بدار كريستيز. انا هالة خياط مديره المزاد مختصه بالفن العربي والايراني والتركي، ووصلنا نحن هون اكثر من 10 سنوات في دبي. بنعرف البعض منكم لكن ما بنعرف الجميع. وشكرا لسوزي، هي الاخصائيه الجديده في فريق العمل بكريستيز اللي حبت تعمل هالمبادره. ونقول لكم انه نحن كثير عم نطلع بكثب يعني عن حركه الفن الاماراتيه، حركه الفن بالخليج بشكل عام، وان شاء الله انه بالمواسم القادمه بنقدر يكون في تعاون بيننا وبين كل الفنانين من المنطقه. وما حطول عليكم، اللي عنده اي سؤال عن المزاد او عن اليه المزاد او كيف ممكن يشارك بالمزاد او نحن موجودين فيكم تسالونا. بتمنى انه تاكلوا الاكلات اللي نحن طبخنا لكم اياهم وتكونوا انتم كمان سفراءنا بالمنطقه. شكرا لقدومكم.
That has personally touched me. I've spent a year and a half of interviewing artists. Maybe you were one of them, maybe you weren't, maybe they were friends who weren't here. And the reason I'm from New York, I'm not Arab, I'm not Muslim, I'm not from the Middle East. أتكلم لغة عربية شوي شوي بس أنا متخصصة في الفن الخليجي. And that is my passion. And so everyone in this room is very important to creating that movement. I mean, I've been in these rooms with Abu Qadr and his passion exudes from him. And it's important, and what's needed is the story. And I have that story from you, and that's, I think, what my talent is getting that story from each one of you and showing it on a global platform. Because at the end of the day, I mean, Christie's, we're in a room that's in Dubai, but at the same time, we have bidders, we have people getting the catalog from Alaska to South America, you know, with works coming from all over the world. So once this happens, it's very exciting. So thank you again for coming. It's my pleasure to welcome you here. So yeah.
البوفيه مفتوح. شكرا.
Hello, Habib. So I have some questions about the general auction, also the changes with Christie.
ما في سكيورتي هون جولري حاجه يعني تعرف.
Is that I can
Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you for coming, Rami.
Can you give us sorry?
We go a long way.
We go a long way. Seriously, we've known each other for 11 years now.
Yeah.
So, can you give us a tour and give us a general idea about what's been going on with Christie's and the market?
Sure. So, as you can see, we're here outside with a lot of modern works from the Arab world. A beautiful Fahr Nisa is looking at us, while this wall is old Iraqi works coming from the collection from Vienna. We ship them all from Vienna. It's the Sharil collection. This sale is one of the smallest sales to date, but it's a very curated sale where we handpicked, you know, all these modern works. You'll see that there's a lot of modern versus contemporary, and because this is where we feel, you know, we're very strong in that arena. We're contacted by collectors who knew the artist directly of that time. For example, in his case, he was friends with Shakir Hassan al-Said in the 50s, and it's like these kind of stories that we like to bring to the public. Namely, in a week like the amazing March week, where, you know, there's all the galleries offering the best contemporary artists shows, as well as the fair. It's an exciting time. This work by Guy Ragosyan, for example, is a stunning example in a time where, as you know, the family estate is launching a book on the artist. There's an amazing show in Sharjah. So we try to complete the scene by offering the work for sale.
And let me ask you, from these works, what percentage would you say that you approach the collector versus the collector approaching you?
You know, we're always on the run. We're always on a plane somewhere. But the Christie's name is a big name, you know, as an auction house. So I think when people have these kind of gems, when they just first type in, you know, to see the value, they get Christie's emails, you know. So we are sometimes, I would say 50-50. Sometimes we look into books, we see that, you know, like some collections are listed somewhere. It's a lot of research that goes behind the scene, and we try to proactively contact them. Sometimes it's our collectors putting us together with other collectors who are willing to sell. And sometimes it's really random, you know, we'd be going to see something that a client is so willing to sell, like a watch or a carpet, and we look around and we see this amazing abood, and we're like, what about this? And he's like, no, that's recent, I bought it, you know, some 20 years ago. And we'd be like, no, actually we're interested in this piece. So it's really a lot of little anecdotes like this. What I find fascinating is that in this kind of show, Rami, is that, you know, it's not like working with one artist where you go to their studio and you get to see the whole artist's work and then pick, you know, from one studio to your auction room. These 75 works are coming from some 54 cities around the world. We ship things from South America, we ship things from America, from Europe, from Beirut, from Egypt, from Sudan, you know, like, and every work has a story in bringing it, you know, in a very legitimate way, you know, to the region, and doing the paperwork and documentation, and then authenticating the works with the family estates that we're working with. I mean, you know, since 10 years, we've gone really a long way into establishing very strong ties with, you know, the scholars in the region. When it comes to authenticity, it's really like a new level.
Authenticity is a big thing. You're realizing, especially on the modern side.
Especially on the modern. This is why I think in the market a lot of people prefer to sell contemporary art, because it's easier. They can just pick up the phone, call the artist, send him an image. With us, it's a bit harder. But I have to say that I think almost 70% of the artists we sell now are traceable, and the families are working on serious archives, and they are sharing these archives with us. And you know, we're adding a lot of disclaimers in the catalog to point out this point, you know. Every time there's a Aboud, you know, we consult Christine Aboud. Every time there's the Biragosyan, we consult the Biragosyan family. Now the son of Shakir Hassan al-Said is writing his catalog raisonné, is establishing a foundation. The wife of Rafi al-Nasiri established a museum in Amman that we went to visit. So obviously, you know, the Salim family, they're in England, we contact them. Same goes to Fakhr al-Nisa with her family and the books. Obviously, every time there's a book, there's a catalogue raisonné, there's a proper old archive, we consult all of that. So I think this is why modernism to me is closer to my heart at present, and this is why we have more modern. I wish to have, you know, an equal amount of contemporary artwork, but it will come. Yeah.
You want to go inside? What I wanted to ask you also is, what percentage from what we currently have here would you say is coming directly from the estates or from the artist versus from a reseller? You know, it's not like we're not dictated by a rule to do that, you know. When an estate is ready to sell a work, they consult us. But I would say that this time in particular, we have mostly coming from private collectors. Yeah, but the estates, we're happy to see them. Sometimes the estates want to buy back a work because they're like, wow, that's an amazing work. We didn't know where it was. We lost it all these years. We have the pictures. We traced it up until the 60s, but then, you know, that family left Egypt. And like, for example, this Gazzar, which is on the cover of our catalog, it was with an Armenian family that migrated to Canada. And, you know, like then the original owners passed away, and then it's like the second generation looking into selling this work. So when they sent it, and we sent it to the foundation, In the beginning, they were like, "Oh my God!" But then they were able to find a black and white picture of it, illustrated in an old book, in a newspaper article, and they recognize also the family and the receipts and these kind of details.
And you also mentioned that you're getting pieces from the West or
Yeah.
from South America. I think you even said.
Yeah.
How did the works end up there?
Well, in this case, it's a Bibi Zoghbi this time around. So Bibi Zoghbi, the Lebanese artist, Labiba Zoghbi, who is one of the pioneer female artists of Lebanon. I can show you the work if we can pass by there. She used to do a lot of these wildflowers. She lived in Africa for some time and also in South America and Argentina. So she left a very big legacy there. And we happen to have a consultant in South America that we kind of told them, please, look around, and now because a few people sold a few pieces, it's just like change. We're getting a few up there, so now we have a system to ship from.
Now, the people that are selling from, what are the reasons do you think that they're selling these works?
I'll tell you the story of this wonderful lady who contacted me, Miss Darlene Riviere, for example. She's an older generation lady who lived at the end of the 60s, early 70s in Beirut. Her husband used to work in Beirut. She was the happy wife living in the Mediterranean, beautiful city, which people call
What, 60s, 70s?
The best years, the Switzerland of the Arab world.
Osama bin Laden used to go party there.
Yeah, and I don't know if you want to put this in your documentary. But basically, she used to go to this amazing place called the Cafe Horseshoe Cafe, which is in the memory of so many people who visited Beirut at that time. It's a lively place. I had a collector earlier who told me, I used to see Paul Hiragosyan sitting in that cafe, painting in the corner, and every time like something was a bit wet, he would just hang it like on the wall of the cafe. So sometimes he would leave them at night and leave them for a few days after that to keep them for his next show. But what happened often is that people love them and they tell him, no, we're buying this, paint another one, we're buying this, paint another one. So this
From
was
a cafe?
From the cafe, because he used to sit there and paint, Luay Kayali used to do the same in Aleppo, Fatah Mudarris used to do the same in Damascus. They would sit in cafes and because they wanted to be in the street, they wanted to feel the vibe of the street. I mean, obviously, the weather is not like Dubai weather in the summer, so weather is nice to be outside. So this lady befriended this artist, amazing for her. I think he gifted her the sketch. She bought this from him from that period. Eventually, she met also Helen Al-Khal, who is the wonderful painter of this work, very unusual, figurative, before she turned into her Rothko-like complete abstraction period. And then she bought this Eli Canaan from an exhibition. What happened is that war erupted in Lebanon and they had to leave quickly. And to her, that was the memory of this very happy time in that city. She's old now, and I think that she feels that, if she leaves them until after she passes away, I mean, I don't know if this is nice to say, maybe cut it. And, maybe the people who will inherit him will not appreciate this whole story. So she said that by sending them back to the Middle East, I know that someone who would understand what the horseshoe was. Really, this morning, a collector came and he was like, when I read Horseshoe Cafe, I wanted to buy it because it reminded me of the days I used to go with my father and sit in that cafe. So she kind of knew that this is going to come back to a home that understand what she lived in, versus leaving them in the States and probably someone just putting them in a random auction. So in her, obviously monetary reasons as well, the price value of these things bought 40 years ago is tremendously gone up. So maybe she also needs cash, which is not bad.
On that note, have you seen people's lives literally change because of discovery of artworks that they didn't know?
I've seen this. I've seen this with someone who sold a small Jawad Salim sculpture one. He went and he bought a home. He bought a house in Amman. It was like the sense of security for him after all these years, and because he did not think that this little sculpture was as valuable, So you see some people, change completely, no, but they say thanks to this artist, I have a good
better life.
Yeah, or I was able to invest in a certain project, or this money is going to go as a wedding gift to my daughter, this money is going to go into funding a project for my son. Because, they're like, we're not going to touch, our capital, we're not going to sell a property. Art still is, a smaller item to get, to let go. And also people taste change. I've seen it so many times. Like they say that I live with it. I have very nice memories looking at it. But there comes a time when I go around the fair and I see something new, and I'm like, I have to make room for that for this new work. So maybe I can part with this work because for 30 years it was part of my own.
Years now, a bit longer. And I've seen the biggest change in the last couple of years, the move from where the majority used to be contemporary to now the majority being modern. What's the reason?
Yeah, I think honestly it's just adapting to what our collectors are looking for. I think now we're really in a very lucky environment, I mean, just look around. I can't even start to list what's happening in Dubai, Sharjah, Abu Dhabi this week. There's 1,000 exhibition maybe. So I think, so there's contemporary available.
That's true.
A lot. At the end of the day, when someone is going to buy from Christie's, there's a premium involved, and they should buy it from Christie's for a reason, that they cannot find it outside, So when they can find a lot of the contemporary, although like we do get some gems, like we have a beautiful and a beautiful jar, and these things are coming from, we're in the secondary market, so they come definitely from collectors who bought them and are reselling them now. But I feel that our focus is more into the modern. I think if we had maybe more time and also a lot of the beautiful contemporary works was produced in the last only 10, 15 years, 20 years maybe, people debate on when contemporary in the Middle East started. So these people who bought it are still enjoying it, they're not ready yet to work. Like yourself.
What do you mean?
Like how many times I tell yourself contemporary and you're not ready to let go. You love your works, you're still living with them.
The older I get, the more I want to make a museum.
I feel that's
Inshallah, with time, and it makes sense. I sold actually with a book, inshallah.
أنا عملت بوك هلا لفاميلي سيرين فاميلي just there فاتح مدرس collection. Very small closed up.
Thank you. I actually think that to start off with a book would be good, inshallah.
هيك anticipation بعدين بتشوف بنحطه تسميه بوك إنه museum in a book بالأول لبين أما physically تورجيهم للعالم. تعطي vanity gift هيك and it's important.
I agree. No, I agree. So thank you for reminding me. It's actually something I wished to do a few years ago, completely forgot. Thank you.
بس لنخلص أنت وعدتني مرة بس روح شوفهم. لو أعمل أنا
ذكر لك محمد شوي بقى.
خلاص كيف الحال؟ مساك بخير. شو اخبارك؟ ناصر.
استاذ عبد القادر رئيس، كيف حالك؟ كل عام وانت بخير. رجعنا لموسم الفن.
الحمد لله.
استاذ عبد القادر، من زمان وانا بسالك متى بديت انت بالفن؟
انا بديت وانا في المدرسه حقيقه. أو قبل ما ادخل المدرسه. ابتدائي نعم. وكنت محظوظ ان درست في الكويت يمكن ان بعد وفاه الوالد اختي كانت عايشه مع زوجها هناك في الكويت. اضطر شوي عشان اتعلم هناك في الكويت. فهناك حصلت ابتغاء الشيء اللي كنت ادور عليه حصلت هناك. الوان كانوا يوفرون لنا مواد خامات الرسم كل يعني كان في ببلاش. الحمد لله هي في سنه 60 73 عقب خلصت تعلمت هناك. اخذت شهاده ثانويه ولكن اكبر من الشهاده الثانويه طلعت من هناك وانا فنان. يعني عندي بعض الاعمال اللي رسمت اثناء الدراسه ممكن راح تنعرض ان شاء الله في باريس خلال 24
الاعمال اللي من ايام الدراسه.
بعض الاعمال راح تنعرض هناك ان شاء الله. هو معرض السعادي في معهد العالم العربي من 24/9 ل 23/10.
وبعدين لما رديت من الكويت استمريت في الرسم في الإمارات؟
لمدة تقريبا قريب سنة وأقل من سنة. سويت أول معرض شخصي في الإمارات سنة 74، بداية 74، أعتقد كانت سنة 2074. بعد المعرض كان هناك توقف طويل.
وكيف كان الإقبال على المعرض أول معرض أبو 4 سنين؟
والله بعت مجموعة من الأعمال.
ما شاء الله. لمنوا إماراتيين ولا أجانب؟
كانوا إماراتيين وفي بعض أجانب، وفي بعض لسه في كان مهندس أردني، هو خذ ممكن أكثر من عمليات. المشكلة أنه هو الآن هاجر فترة طويلة لخارج الإمارات، الأعمال هي الآن يعني تسوى ثروة يعني.
وكنت بسألك هي تتذكر على كم بعت الأعمال بسنة 74؟
حقيقة أول عمل بعتها كان سنة 89.
69 وش
هي أول عمل. هاي بعت على في أعتقد كان مستشرق أوروبي، ما أدري كان من السويد أو سويسرا، دولة من الدولتين. جاب عندي مصور معروف كان يشتغل في المجال العربي، أوسكار مدخل، هو يعتبر عميد مصورين العرب. تم تكريمه قبل سنتين.
عميد
مصورين العرب.
ما شاء الله.
أوسكار مدخل. فأنا أدور عليه لأنه هو يعرف الرجل هاي. فلو وصلنا للرجل طبعا هو متأكد أنه متوفي لأنه كان كبير بشكل، لكن إن شاء الله ما يكون العمل ضاع.
إن شاء الله موجود. وليش صار توقف من سنة 74؟
ما كنت أقدر، كنت أحاول بس ما كنت أقدر. مع العلم معرض كان ناجح صحيح، انك اول معرض في الامارات، ولكن فعلا كان معرض ناجح. ولكن قدر عقب الزواج اشتغلت وتزوجت، وايضا بعد كملت دراستي بعد
أخذت بريك. والحين ما شاء الله عندك ولد وبنت فنانين صح؟
نعم. مصعب وسمية. مصعب في شغله متميز، سمية اعتقد في المائية اللي تعتبر من الافضل الموجودين في الوجهتين.
وشو رايك في الساحة الفنية الحين في سنة 2018 في دبي؟
انا اتوقع الامور تتحسن مع الايام. صح انه في صارت شغف للانستليشن ارت من الارضي او الفيديو، لكن في هناك رجعه مو ملاحظه. انا ملاحظ ان في الان الناس بدات ترجع للجسم فن الحياه.
صحيح.
وين طبعا يمكن ياخذ وقت شوي، ولكن تتصور انه
أي نصيحة تعطيها للفنانين الشباب؟
والله اللي يبي يوصل لازم يجتهد. بدون اجتهاد ما راح يكون اي ارتقاء. لازم واحد يتعب، مع التعب لازم يكون في صبر، كثرة الإنتاج يخلي واحد، وأيضا الاستفادة من التجارب الكبار. واحد ما ينظر إلى الناس اللي موجودين حواليك، شوف الناس اللي وصلوا، هاي اللي يخلي واحد. أنا لما كنت صغير كان حاط في بالي بس رامبراند فنان هولندي مشهور، ما كنت أحاول أسوي مثل ما هو يسوي من فترة معينة، وقد غيرت ما في شكل اتجاهي صار غير عن اتجاهه، ولكن كان أيضا سبب إن أتطور في شغلي لما تخلي حد كبير.
وهالأيام شو بعد ترسم؟
والله عندي أكثر، ترى صار عندي أكثر من أسلوب أرسم كلاسيك بعض الأوقات، أدخل في التجريد وفي الحروفيات، وأيضا مسألة الزيتي والمائي الآن مركز على الماء. أنا الحمد لله أصبحت مميز في الاستعمال المائية، وأيضا صحيا أريح من مسألة استنشاق الزيت والتربنتاين، ولكن لك بعض الأوقات ولكن أرتاح للماء أكثر.
جزاك الله خير، مشكور.
توفيق إن شاء الله.
تسلم.
كان من الصعب عملية توثيقها لأنها خرجت من مصر سنة 63 مع إحدى العائلات الأرمنية اللي تركت مصر وأقامت في كندا. العائلة اتصلت بفاليري هيس الخبيرة بكريستيز وعرضوا عليها اللوحة. لأول وهلة فاليري قالت دي لوحة لعبد الهادي الجزار. كان لابد من توثيق اللوحة أرشيفيا، والتوثيق الأرشيفي أهم من التوثيق الفني. فيوم السبت 3 فبراير الماضي ذهبت لزيارة السيدة ليلى عفت قرينة المرحوم عبد الهادي الجزار الفنان، وراجعنا جميع الألبومات الصور اللي هي التذكارية والأرشيفية للمرحوم عبد الهادي الجزار الفنان، وتوصلنا إلى التعرف على اللوحة صورة أبيض وأسود الموجودة في كتالوج المزاد الخاص بكريستيس، وكان لابد من توثيقها أرشيفيا لأنها لوحة اختفت من مصر منذ عام 63. اللوحة الأخرى لوحة ماكس للفنان محمود سعيد أيقونة الهوية المصرية، وهي إحدى اللوحات الأولى للفنان، وهي كانت ملكية المرحوم حسين بي سعيد شقيق الفنان محمود سعيد، وحاليا هي ملك الورثة اللي هم أحفاد حسين بي سعيد. وورثة حسين بي سعيد إنجي سعيد وحسين سعيد وأحمد سعيد هم الوحيدين اللي يحملوا اسم سعيد، لأن الفنان محمود سعيد كان له ابنة واحدة توفيت اسمها نادية محمود سعيد، ولكن أولادهم أولاد المرحوم حسن الغالي، فاللي يحملوا اسم سعيد هم ورثة حسين سعيد اللي هو كان يملك اللوحة شقيقه.
أنت من سكان مصر؟
أنا من سكان الإسكندرية بمصر.
وكيف الساحة الفنية؟
نشطة إلى حد كبير.
وشفتوا أي تغيير بعد 2011 والتغييرات اللي صارت؟
طبعا. لا حاليا الساحة الفنية نشطة جدا جدا.
دائما إن شاء الله. شكرا. الله يبارك فيك.
Good to see you.
I think it's been like a year and a half since we last caught up.
I know, it's been a while, and I remember when I was meeting you, I was discussing about this, websites I wanted. I told you I wanted to publish these interviews with artists, and I finally did. And so since over a year, I published all my interviews with the older pioneer artists.
Of the UAE?
Yes, I traveled. Actually, I was in Bahrain, I was in Doha, and I found, through interviewing 3 generations of Emirati artists. I did my thesis on it, and then I had a Fulbright scholarship last year, so I was awarded this in order to publish all these interviews. And as much as I was interested in this younger generation with my time of helping the Emirates Fine Arts Society, I knew the pioneers were the most important that you had to document, because their artists are not getting any younger. They're having these archives that are being lost within this, puzzle of, as I'm sure artists saying, I was the first one who did this, I was the first one who did this. And I said, you know what? Let me film them in their studios. Let me have these very intimate settings with them. So I was in Khorfakan, I was in Abu Dhabi, in Sharjah, in these studio settings with these very intimate scene, whether it was, family members, it turned into this, a gathering. I was in this majlis setting where people said, oh, Susie's coming, let's involve everyone. And I mean, the poignant interviews that, you come back in your car after these talks and you feel enlightened and it's this enlightened moment that I felt after interviewing those like Mona Khajar. Amal Khajar had to translate, and you hear about her time in Egypt in the 70s, you know, and her parents allowed her to go, and it was just, she was showing me these works. And then you have those like Saleh al-Astad, the first photographer, and it was during Ramadan, you know, and I would have maybe some younger artists come, or those, you know, Dr. Muhammad Yusuf came in these, and I just interviewed them, and it's just, it's a very special moment to have that point of videotaping them, because they need it, you know, it's a respect.
So that was part of the Fulbright
Yeah.
program? But what drew you to the UAE?
To be very frank, I was going to be in Morocco, in Al Khawain, in Ifran, because I knew I wanted to be a specialist in contemporary Middle Eastern arts, but I didn't know where the right place. I'm not Arab, I'm not Muslim, not anything from the Middle East. And I thought, you know, let me try and learn about this. And honestly, to be in the States, the safe places to go, maybe Dubai and, you know, Jordan, or you know, maybe Egypt, and of course Morocco. So I was going, and then I had spoken with a professor in Fordham University where I went, and she said, listen, where can you see yourself in 10 years? And I was interning at Christie's in New York at the time, and I knew from that moment, and I saw Layla Heller, I met her then, and I said, a contemporary Middle Eastern art specialist in the Middle East region. And
Why?
She said,
what made you pick the Middle East?
Because you grew up in New York, you grew up in seeing the media. My first map of the Middle East was post 9/11. You know, it's like you saw this side of what the Middle East should be, and that's what it was. And if you come from a very, you know, living in a bubble in the New York region, that's what you're fed. And me being and going to Layla Heller Art Space, seeing Gada Amer and Rachel Hovnanian speak, meeting these people, Shiva Balagi, I knew that there was another way. And I remember asking Shiva, and I said, you know, I'm so interested, I want to be this specialist, and what do I do? And she just said, you have to read everything. And that was it. It was this very overwhelming, you know, emotional statement. And from that moment, I met with every gallery owner in New York. I developed that niche. And then that professor said, cancel your ticket to Morocco and go to Dubai. And I had no idea about Dubai. I'll be very frank, I had no idea, nothing. All I remember is my professor, she was in politics at the time. She pointed to the map in UAE and she said, well, if you go there, you have to cover up. And it was this big, and I said, okay, maybe I'm a bit nervous. So I was going to Morocco. And that moment when I wanted to go to Dubai, I studied in American University of Sharjah for a semester. I became very close contacts with the professor, Martin Giesen, who actually is my first client of Christie's. He has a Basbou sculpture that I consigned for him here. Found out he's the founding dean of CAD, and I became very close with all of these artists. But to be frank, my first artist ever meeting in the Khalij was the brother of Abdel Nasser Garim, Wael. He was friends with this girl in AUS, and she just said to me very nonchalantly, I don't know this guy's brother is some artist, go meet him. She has no idea about the art world. So I said, fine, you know, whatever, let me go. I was interested in Iranian arts, being with Layla. And I went, and Wael met me, and his eyes were big, and he just said, Susie, yeah, Susie, you be our promoter. You are from the States, you're from the US. He showed me, he gave me all of these, you know, these maybe they were like lithograph prints, and Abdel Nasser was older works that he has not. It was more of like very natural look and feel rather than what his books are like now. So my window when I came back from Sharjah, I went to Paris, was Skyping with Abdel Nasser Garim. That was it. That was my connection to this part of the world. And I would have these meetings, these interviews, and I'd open my laptop and I'd have a window into a guy from Khamis Mushet. Well, I'm from Long Island, you know. And I said, Abdel Nasser, I live in a bubble. And he said, Wallah, Susie, like, you don't think I do? And it was that poignant moment. And when I said, okay, I'm in the UAE, can you recommend any artists? And he said right off the bat, Mohammed Kazem, Hassan Sharif, Abdul Qadir al-Rais, Ibrahim Salim. And I said, well, why Emirati artists? And that was that moment of my thesis, my inspiration of, now I understand this connection, this close brotherhood within the Khalij of artists. And it really turned into that. And from that moment on, I wrote my thesis on UAE art history, and I received a Fulbright scholarship from the US government to interview artists, and that's how it happened.
And now with your new role at Christie's, what are you hoping to achieve between your past experience and the context?
I want to cultivate and foster a local community here. Not a community, I mean, of course, my connections with Hala, she's very much, connected with the Syrian, Lebanese, Egyptian art scenes. We're in Dubai. I want to foster a community that is from the UAE, and it's something well said. And I mean, it's in different, whether it's in what not just arts and in many other different fields here, there needs to be this, corporation, and I want to facilitate that. I want to see more artists from this region as part of the auctions. And yeah, there are in the past, there have been, but it's of course, at the end of the day, it's a business. You connect the artist with a buyer, and I of course want to have buyers. I'm from America. There's 13 works in this sale coming from the US, but I think that the support has to come from within as well. So it's over time. It's a language of learning arts, and you have to understand and connect the artists with it's a new market. It's a baby market that's coming about, and it needs to be done in a healthy way in order for it to be sustainable.
Beautiful.
Yeah?
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
appreciated.
Rami.
Good luck at the auction tomorrow.
I know. Thank you.
Inshallah. And pass by the studio when all of this is
Well,
done.
I think maybe you could start from here.
Yeah?
So this work is it's called Between One Shore and Several Others. So this is I was in Dubai from 1995 to 1999. So then
What were you doing here?
I was working for a signboard company as selling neon signs. But I'm an artist, but I was
In the free time. All artists.
No, I'm an artist. In the free time, maybe I was doing this. So I'm saying. So one gallery gave me a show here, Green Art, and then they saw my maquettes, like the small sculptures that I made, and so when they saw the real big thing, like it was quite big in size, they said it will not enter their gallery, and it is. You can't sell it and all that. So because one piece was like a piece of terracotta that is broken and on the floor, and with one image of a man cut out from inside, and a tree coming, a dead tree from his chest. So they said, "This you cannot sell this."
And this was created in Dubai?
Yeah, in '96, '95.
And was it inspired by the city or?
No, it was inspired mostly like the farmer suicides in India. Like there was a lot of all the barren land and all that kind of thing. So it's very funny. Like when you are here, you're like whatever you've carried from there, you're trying to unload first, and with elements from the city. And when you go there, you're taking ideas from here and then like trying to. So. Anyway.
And so did you see that when you went back in '99?
Yeah, you pick certain things, but it comes back. It follows us. It doesn't immediately manifest. So this was a work. These are the names of the people, and it's about how an idea becomes like a religion, like communism becomes like a religion, and then you have people putting their names like. They're optimistic about it, but when this whole thing, like now with the new current historical perspective, like communism has gone, and so. It's like a tide. Like when the tide leaves, there are a lot of these things still debris, like this floats on the beach. So suddenly they become like that, And I was interested in this form of identity construction, and also like this work where I projected these faces of people who have influenced my way of seeing, like John Burgess' ways of seeing. So just like that, these people, like from my maybe 12th grade till another 5 years. When you're getting into tools of these are people who influenced my ways of thinking. So I projected their face onto my face, and one eye I synchronized as if I'm seeing through them. I'm looking through them. So this is a kind of performative kind of portrait that I did. And there are just 20 pieces here, but there are some other thing from India, some of it. Stockley Carmichael, who did the Black Panther Party, Woody Allen, before the controversy. Kawame Ture, he's Allen Ginsberg, Pablo Neruda, Gandhi.
Sheikh Muhammad hasn't influenced you, continue.
No. These are people who, for me, Omar Mukhtar influenced me. But those are all people, through their eyes I found them. These are like my foundation stone. Like when I was very young.
Yes.
So, yeah.
What's that piece about?
See, I was looking at like miniature works in India where there is these composite images, like a lot of images form and then they form like a elephant or a horse or a cow or all these animals. So I was trying to see if I can. See, I do a little bit of socially relevant humor, I mean, like, or that kind of thing. So this is like a Trojan horse or something. So they're in Times Square in New York.
So this is an actual performance?
No. It's, I mean, like, I went and took the photograph there, and then I did this in my studio. And
earlier we were speaking about your period from 95 to 99.
Yeah.
I was surprised when you told me that you worked with...
Actually, what happened is I was doing these works when the gallery said they will, they can't show my works. Then I put a lot of money and time and energy into making these works. So then I was dejected. So in 95 Binale, I had met Muhammad Ahmad. So I liked his work and I was standing and talking about, looking at his work. So then one man came. So I said, "That's nice work." He said, "Yeah, you like it?" I said, "Yeah, it's very good." And I was just coming out. And he said, "It's my work." Oh, then I thought, like I said, I'm Vivek, and we met. So then I knew his name, and then I tried to contact him. And
how did you knew his name from before?
No, my name. I thought his name is Mahmood. I heard it like that, and he said he works in. He's from Corfacan, and he works in Sharjah Library. So then I told my friend. So my friend asked me the exhibition is cancelled now. What are you going to do? So I said, I met one Mahmood in Sharjah Library. Maybe he'll understand what I'm doing. I just want to show him my work. So then I told this friend. He said so my friend works in a bar, Princeton bar.
Maybe you
can. No, in Dubai. I don't know if you want to edit that. So he said, there are some artists who come there and they also speak like this. They make objects and all that. So I said, really, they make objects? So I said, I'm also making objects. So then he said he knows one. What is it? There was a journalist who works in the economic department. He knew him very well. He was Saad Juma, and he's from Corfacan. So he said he'll find out. So I called the library. So they said, everybody's a Muhammad here. Why don't you come and see which one? So anyway. So then so he said there are only two artists in Corfacan. One is Abdullah Sadi and one is Muhammad Ahmad. And I know both of them.
Who's this Juma?
Saad Juma. So then he gave the number and then I contacted him. Then I met him and then he said, I met him in Sharjah Library and so he was coming to Dubai. Then he said he'll... while you were talking, he said, "Oh, maybe if we met 2 months before, you can be part of our show." And then we went and met Hassan, Hussain, Adil.
Where in Dubai?
In Dubai, in the bar, Princeton bar. So there were a lot of newspaper editors, a lot of poets, and a lot of in that crowd. Yusuf Abdullos.
So there was a cultural.
There was a very strong culture in this thing. The next day, I showed my works to Hassan, the maquettes. So he said, "You have to be part of our show."
Beautiful.
And their show was 7 days from that time. And the museum. So the museum said no. Hassan said, if he's not there, I'm not there in the show.
Wow.
Then they said, "Hassan, why are you making a problem? Who is this guy?" Then he said, he's an Indian artist. Work is good. And so then we went to the Sharjah Foundation, met Aidabi, Dr. Aidabi. Yusuf Aidabi, you know? He's in the Sharjah culture. He's still there. Yusuf Aidabi, Dr. Yusuf Aidabi. Dr. Yusuf was, I think he got his doctorate from Russia or something like that. So we had to talk. So they said that this thing was being gone for print, catalog. So Hassan said, stop it, stop the printing. So I showed him the thing. Then we showed several shows.
Together?
Yeah.
Where would you show? So the first one was Sharjah Museum?
Once we showed in the art, what is it called? Not Art Foundation, something in Sharjah, there is one art.
Sharjah Art Foundation?
No, Sharjah Art Foundation.
it's a new.
It's quite new. It's in 2000 it came in.
Yeah, that came.
What time was this? What time?
This is 90s.
96.
I have no idea then.
Yeah. So first show was in the museum at that Al Sarkal house.
Yes.
That time this museum was not there. Yeah. It was not there. Yeah. No, UAE Fine Arts Society. Then we showed with what is it? This French Alliance Française, the French Council in Dubai. She liked our work and she met some. She was trying to contact Hassan and then contacted. So I was staying in Hassan's house for 2.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Reading all his books.
Which books that he wrote? Books? Or,
No.
Library.
Yeah, his library. So for me it was really interesting because through the books to see Hassan, like what he read, what he anecdotes he wrote and all that, and then seeing. And a very strange thing was like Hassan talking about like this very famous artist from Belgium, like Marcel Brooders. And that time nobody I knew talked about Marcel Brooders. Hassan had written about him a long time back. And Marcel Brooders had died 10 years. And in 97 documentary, Marcel Brooders is on the cover. It was curated by Catherine David. Then later Catherine David comes to and meets Hassan and curates Hassan's show.
In Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, so it's very, very strange how things
change.
Yeah.
And the visitors to these exhibitions, who were they?
Well, when we do it in the French, this thing, they were, the director, Nathalie, she's very optimistic. She called all the cultural attaché. A lot of French people came from all over. Yeah. But otherwise, there was not much appreciation, of course. We never used to even price our works.
So these exhibitions were just purely for exhibition, not new.
No, but these people are all living on that. Living means like getting money to do it. I'm doing other jobs to make these kind of works and this thing. They are also doing like that. Everybody has a small job, and then, and we know that these works will not sell. Like when you put sand and make imprints on sand, how you can sell it? So
Did you end up selling?
No. I sold. Towards the end, one Indian origin guy and his wife from Belgium, they saw my work and they were interested to see more, and then I showed them. Then they asked me, how do you survive, Vivek? And I said, I do odd jobs, like put sticker on truck and all that, like, or car, or like that. I have friends who give me these kind of jobs, like make a signboard, like a neon sign and all that. So, so he said, can we commission you to do, can you do a painting? I said, then they gave me a lot of money. With that money I went back.
Back to where?
Yeah. So,
do you remember the first artwork you ever sold?
Oh, that's in India a long time ago. And those, I remember.
Do you remember what it was and how much you sold it for?
Yeah, it was a pond. It was a golden kind of pond in a bush. So I had done it on a newspaper. Like I had stuck newspapers with charcoal and green color and little yellow here and there. There was this whirlpool like thing of a golden thing in a jungle, one pond. Then there was a sunrise kind of thing also done with these kind of material, and one writer from what's his name? Fred de Goyer. He's a writer, like from the Caribbean. He and his girlfriend at that time was a Pakistani newsreader. I forget her name. They bought it. Then they wanted to meet me, and then that's how I got to know who they were. Yeah.
How many years have you been practicing art?
I've been exhibiting from 88. Yeah, 1988 onwards.
MashaAllah, so this is your 30-year anniversary. Congratulations.
Yeah. I didn't think of it that way.
And
Because each work is a struggle to make. I mean, like, the trouble is like now most of these works are they're like pages of a book or something. Like, so they're big. I mean, like, so you can't. It's difficult for people to acquire this or because of the sheer size.
So this is one work? Or?
This is one work. That's the problem.
So it's institutional mainly?
Yeah, no, a lot of, I mean, like, some people do buy it. I mean, like,
How is India, by the way? Have you seen the collectors and private museums and national museums?
I'm not in that. I have a lot of other interests also, so I don't mingle too much with the artists, yes, not with the other side of,
With
not
the
yet,
art,
yeah. So I'm not very familiar. Once in a while I accidentally meet somebody and then we go to some house, oh, my work is there, yeah.
What are your other interests besides art?
Actually, I mean, like every human being, we are all concerned with the environment and global thing and all that. So, in fact, one of the works I'm showing, I'm having a solo at the Art Basel Hong Kong.
MashaAllah. With
This-
who? With which gallery?
Sakshi Gallery. But it was more of a project, kind of, like they had invited applications like for solo projects. So I had done this work where I had placed a lot of Tibetan rice paper on very thin rice paper in a house in Delhi, in an art space, Khoj it's called. And then every day I was fixing the dust and removing it. So one paper I'll have 1 day's dust, the next 2 days dust, like that. And it's kept like the calendar of the month of May in which I did it. So it's like a calendar that like, so it starts from white and then it becomes black, like that, with the pollution. So that is one work they're showing. So I had this thing in education and political science also. So I'm not coming from a direct, I learned the craft from traditional craftsmen, but my other background is like mostly political and things. So
You're mostly a self-taught artist.
still learning artist.
Still learning.
yeah.
Any advice you want to give to younger artists?
Just read, I think.
Read, huh?
I think read. Rest will follow. I mean, maintain the curiosity. Nowadays the problem is people are not very curious. They're not curious about material. They're not curious about tactility. Like, I think that physical, the touch and the curiosity basically of ideas. And, it's not advice I can give. I can take a few advice.
I have a very dear friend you remind me of him. His name is Shafi Qureshi.
Shafi, yes, I met Shafi day before.
Yes.
Yeah. I know Shafi from Delhi. I met Shafi in Delhi several times. Yeah. He was here.
Thank you for your time. I really enjoyed your
Wonderful.
company.
Yeah,
Will you be in Kochi end of this year?
Of course, for the Biennale. Like,
For the Biennale. We're thinking of actually getting a house for all of our friends from Dubai
really?
and to people.
For how long?
I think we'll take it for full December. So people can come in and out and we can do
Actually,
things.
I have a friend. Have you already booked the house?
No.
It is near this place. There is a house. It has only 2 rooms. But one room is quite big and one room is quite small. But the place has a swimming pool.
Wow.
I don't know how many of you are.
We're a lot.
Okay.
We're, mashallah, I think 20 people.
Oh, you should get a good house.
That's. I saw Shwetal. You know Shwetal Patel?
Yeah.
I saw him.
Yeah, did he say?
So I told him, and he said, "I'll help you." find
Okay, Shwetal will be able to.
Because
find.
for the first Biennale, you know what I did? One of my projects was I rented a house for 6 months. For 6 months.
Really?
And I just kept it open. Whoever wanted to come and stay and all, and we shot a documentary
really?
also.
Oh, wow.
Did you ever see the documentary about the first Kochi Biennale?
I did, but I don't remember.
It came out a few years ago.
Actually, my works were. This was there in the first Kochi Biennale.
I remember, I think that.
No. Then there was the Last Supper Gaza.
Yes.
That the women in burqa thing.
Yes.
Those 2 were my works. Like as you enter itself, side of Wangachimuthu's work.
That one was one of the most photoed.
Yeah. I have a photograph of Makmal Baf photographing his family. The filmmaker, Iranian filmmaker, Mohsen Makmal Baf. He's amazing. Oh, you should see his films, like freaky films. Like,
Check it out.
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
know him?
Iranians, they make Abbas Kiarostami, Majid Majidi, Makmal and his daughters also, like they are, I think one is 18 or 21 or something, other is 13. They also won Cannes Film Festival Awards. Yeah. They are
You make film as well?
not good ones, so it's not worth showing.
Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
Yeah, I've been studying film, acting in a few. Yeah, but film is very difficult.
Wish us luck. Wish us luck.
All the best. No, some people can. I mean, like I'm finding it difficult to see moving images. Like, how would you make the connection? I don't know. Finding it difficult because I'm good at lighting, single shot lighting, but not moving lighting. That is what worries me. I don't know. Yeah. So that is what worries me. Just like focus pull. Is there a lighting pull? I mean, like lighting following. I don't know. That phobia is there. Like.
But this is actually truly inspiring. This piece.
Yeah, it's a simple. Most of my works are very simple. Anybody can do type of thing. But of course, I use like, good cameras, like medium format cameras. Like, yeah. So that.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a ton. So we'll definitely meet.
Yes.
Yeah.
See you in Kochi.
So I'll be in touch with Shwetal also. Like I'll.
What it is.
From which media you are?
So actually my studio is here. And
One of our judges in Jordan, and one of my personal favorites is Ahmad Dawash. He's Palestinian, lived with both Italy and Ahmad Dawash. Ahmad Dawash. Oh, Ahmad again. Sorry. Ahmad Dawash, and this is one of his biggest photographs, such things, and gorgeous monograms. Yeah. This is another one. They're having a symposium about him. His name is Ali Jabri. I don't know if you're familiar with the story at all. No. Ali was an incredible artist that studied in the States. He is originally Palestinian. Originally from Aleppo, his family. But he was born in Jerusalem and then lived in Jordan after being at Stanford for a while.
When you look at it from far away, you see those very geometrical, but generally, it's like muscle, it's like yoga. You need this training, you see hands, you see movement,
It's okay.